So when you are solving these word problems, and I'm going to have to do this in two different videos, when you're solving these, what you need to do first is to go to the end and ask what two things they're asking you to find. Those become your two variables. They're your two unknowns. It says how many of each type of ticket were purchased. Well, if there are two unknowns, that means there has to be two different types of tickets. So when I look through here and it says, oh, there are adult tickets and child tickets. And when it says how many, then my variable is going to be number of adult tickets. And yes, you do have to write this out. And then how many, again, number of child tickets. This is not always going to be number of. If they ask for the cost of each ticket, then it would be cost of one adult ticket, cost of one child ticket. When I look at my problem, there are going to be a couple of things going on that I need to look for. Either every single one of these is going to have a total amount given, and a total of $110 is spent on tickets. That total is going to set up, one of my equations. So the total equals 110. Well, think about it. If you bought 5 adult tickets and it says they cost $10 each, you would have spent $50 on adult tickets. Well, I don't know how many adult tickets, but when I find the cost, it's going to be $10 per ticket times the number of adult tickets. This is how much I spent on those tickets. Plus, how much did I spend on child tickets? Well, they cost $5 a piece, and I bought Y of them. That's going to be my equation. Amount spent on adult tickets plus amount spent on child tickets equals the total amount of money I spent. The second thing they're going to do, it's either going to be a second total, or it's going to compare the two variables. There is no second total here, but it says the number of adult tickets was 4 more than 3 times the number of child tickets. Okay, we got to put that into words. The number of adult tickets, X, was or is, so equals 4 more than 3 times the number of child tickets. Well, 3 times the number of child tickets would be 3 times Y. 4 more than this would be to take this and add 4 to it. If they said 4 less than this, then we'd take this and subtract 4 from it. Once I get my system set up, I'm going to solve this using, in this case, substitution, because it lends itself to that. So 10 times 3y plus 4 instead of x plus 5y equals 110. Distributing gives me 30y plus 40 plus 5y equals 110. I'm going to subtract my 40 from both sides to move my variable to the right. And then on this side, I have a 30y plus a 5y for 35y equals, subtracting here, 70. Divide both sides by 35 to get y equals 2. So 2 is going to go in there. Go back to one of my original equations. I'm going to use this one. X equals 3 times 2 plus 4. So x equals 10. Now, you are not done. You have to answer the question. Interpret your solution. What do those numbers mean? Use a complete sentence. They sold, because they were asking how many of each type were purchased, or they purchased 10 adult tickets and 2 child tickets. You need to do this as a complete sentence, and you have to have that as part of your answer. I'm going to check the time on this really quickly. We're only at 4 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and add the second one. Now, for those of you who got the notes in advance, I changed the second one because it was another substitution and I wanted to do an elimination. So you can get a new note sheet from me, or you can print the note sheet from online and it'll have this problem instead. So I look for the two things they asked me to find. Those are my two variables. How many cookies and brownies did they sell? So in this case, it's how many again. So number of cookies and number of brownies. I'm going to start my answer down here. They said, how many did they sell? They sold blank cookies. I'll leave myself room to write that in a minute after I find it. And blank brownies, and I'll fill in the blanks once I know those answers. So, this is a case where I always look for one total. They sold a total of 600 items, so that's going to be equals 600. Well, if it's numbers of items, they sold X cookies plus Y brownies for a total of 600 items sold. And they raised a total of $360, so equals 360. Well, people paid 35 cents for each cookie, and they paid 75 cents for each brownie for a total of $360. This is a case where I would use the elimination method. I'm just going to bring down that second equation, 0.35x plus 0.75y equals 360. But as I bring down the first equation, I'm going to multiply it by negative 0.35 so that I get opposites, and I can eliminate x. So as I multiply the first equation by negative 0.35, I get negative 0.35x minus 0.35y equals, and I've got to check this, negative 0.35 times 600 is negative 210. Again, all I did was I multiplied this first equation by negative 0.35 to create opposites. Now I have, combining these, that's 0. This is positive 0.40y equals positive 150. So I'm going to divide by both sides by 0.4, and 150 divided by 0.4 is 375. So 375 for y. I'm going to use the first equation to solve for x. So x plus 375 equals 600. When I subtract 375 from both sides, I get x equals 225. So they sold 225 cookies and 375 brownies. Yes, I absolutely would take, just to check my answer, 0.35 using the second equation times 225 plus 0.75 times 375 and make sure I get 360, and I do.